Hello to everyone. I'm Chiara Cavalieri, president of Italian Egyptian. Hello to everyone. I'm Chiara Cavalieri, president of Italian Egyptian Association Eridanus, and I'm honored to have as a guest Dr. Mervat Abdel Nasser for Anubi TV and Italian Egyptian Association. Mervat, I'm sure that our listeners would like to have a presentation of yourself made directly from you.
Yes, you want to know about myself.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, I am simply an Egyptian woman. I a medical doctor. I graduated from Cairo Medical School in 1975. And as I said, I have all I believe in is in humanism. I have a humanistic outlook on life, and I believe in doing good. And making things beautiful as much as I can, because I believe that the antidote to destruction is by building, and the antidote to ugliness is by introducing beauty. I was born in Cairo and brought up on the island of Rhoda, which is an island in the Nile. So the Nile is very important to me. It's almost regarded as my grandfather. All my schools were in that island, and I used to go to my school sometimes by felucca in the Nile. Or to cross a bridge. And then even the medical school, which is the Cairo Medical School, is also at the tip of that island. And the beauty of this island that it is between two parts of Egypt that constitute the whole of Egypt. It is Old Egypt, ancient Egypt in Giza, where the pyramids and everything, and Old Cairo, which is the kind of the new Old Egypt that has the synagogue, the churches, the first mosque, and also the Potter's Quarter. And I have a special affection and a special love for pottery and for old buildings and medieval buildings in particular. So this environment shaped me to no end, and it made me feel that every bit of me is Egyptian, in a sense that I incorporate all the environment that constitutes Egypt.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Hermopolis is the ancient city of Thoth, the god of wisdom, the inventor of writing, and the ultimate communicator of all arts and knowledge. It lies in Minya Governorate, Middle Egypt, and its existence can be traced back to the earliest periods in Egyptian history. In Hellenistic Egypt, it was renamed after Hermes, the Greek equivalent of Thoth, and became a major center of learning, credited with the production of a philosophy that influenced human thought throughout the ages till our present time. However, and despite this heritage, the region where Hermopolis lies has suffered a great deal of neglect and marginalization in recent years. With evident increase in extremism and fictional strife. The situation prompted me to think of an initiative that will use such heritage towards the development of this region. New Hermopolis is a Heritage for Development initiative inspired by the Hermetic belief in the possibility of harmonious living and the role of human creativity in transforming the world. The building of New Hermopolis began in 2007 and became operational in 2012. It lies close to what is called Western Hermopolis, which are the antiquities of Tuna Jabal. In fact, it is within walking distance from the antiquity site. And it is at the heart of all the antiquities of this region, including the famous Amarna city. It is built on 10 acres of land and consists of an organic farm with olive groves, hospitality center built in a distinctive architectural style, as well as a cultural space with a library, seminar, lecture rooms, and areas for art exhibitions and creative performance. New Hermopolis, therefore, is an integrated example of development, combining ecotourism, desert agriculture, education in arts and culture, and heritage-inspired economy. It also serves to be a model for the future for possible replication in other parts, particularly in Middle and Upper Egypt.
Thank you very much. Hermopolis is the ancient city of thought, the god of wisdom, the inventor of writing, and the ultimate communicator of all arts and knowledge. How was born the idea of New Hermopolis, Mervat?
Well, I have to follow on my short introduction of myself by saying that after graduation from the medical school, I traveled to England in 1997 to further my education, and also believed in the medical cover system, their insurance system that enabled, talking about being socialist, enabled everyone to have access to medical care. And while I'm there, I actually discovered that my passion is more towards psychiatry, although in fact psychiatry all my life was important to me, because it is the only branch in science or in medical sciences that has an interface with humanities and philosophy, and these are my first love. So I actually worked as a psychiatrist and developed my career there, and became a consultant psychiatrist and senior university academic. And all my work and my research is on the interface between culture and mental health, and I have several books in that respect. But then in the end, because my work in psychiatry is on the interface between culture and mental health or mental health problems, I realized that healing cannot be individualized. If I call myself a cultural psychiatrist, I have actually to try to heal the culture, not to heal the individual. Of course, this is a grand and ambitious aim, but we all try to make our world a better place as much as possible, without indoctrinating others into our philosophy or our own ideas, by just introducing new ways of thinking. So I felt the need to do something much bigger than just continuing as a psychiatrist, although this is in itself is important, and I loved my work and enjoyed it very much. But also the situation in Egypt was far more problematic than the rest of the world, because unfortunately we are not well educated in ancient Egypt. Egypt, and the prevailing culture is more into dogma and exclusionist philosophies and exclusionist ideas, and there is a division, and I'm sure that's not the case in Egypt only, but it is the whole world is becoming more polarized and more extremist. Hermetic philosophy, I came across Hermetic philosophy because I was introduced to ancient Egypt, luckily enough. The first year I was in England, I thought I knew about ancient Egypt, but in fact I didn't know enough. And it was the children in England that showed me that they know about Egypt more than me as an Egyptian. And I realized that ancient Egypt had a lot to offer in terms of its humanistic ideas and its art and beauty and the achievements that were made, that is still the whole of the world are benefiting from it. But to go back again to the healing principle, I actually felt that the only way to heal the world is by going back to an ancient philosophy that emphasized the role of creativity and the role of wisdom in helping the individual to seek solutions, creative solutions to their to one's problems. And that is the reason why my interest in Hermopolis came about. I am interested in the ancient Egyptian mind, in ancient Egyptian wisdom. And that is actually the reason why my emphasis is more on intangible Egypt and not tangible Egypt. It's not concrete Egypt. It is more to do with the contribution of Egypt to the world in terms of thinking process, in terms of ideas. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't know anything about conceptual Egypt. All they know is about the monuments, be it pyramids, mummies, obelisks, and big statues. They don't know anything about the ancient Egyptian mind. And that was my idea. So first of all, I wanted to do something for the Egyptians to reintroduce them, or to introduce them to ancient Egypt that they know nothing about. And I wrote books for the children. I wrote also books for adults. I have books in Arabic. One of these books called Why Did Horus Lose His Eye? A New Reading in Ancient Egyptian Thought. I don't know whether you will think of translating it into Italian. It is in Arabic, not in English. And but after many years of trying to help individuals and the young readers through my books and my articles and everything, I realized that there is a need for something much bigger than that. So I decided to take an early retirement and return to Egypt to develop this particular part of Egypt because it is concerned with that intangible heritage. It is concerned with the human mind, because it is the place that produced the Hermetic philosophy, produced the Book of Thoth, produced the Emerald Tablet, also has connections with Panopolis or Akhmim, with the science of alchemy, and also has connections with Nag Hammadi documents or manuscripts. And it is also the heart of Egypt because it is in Middle Egypt. It is 320 kilometers from Cairo and 320 kilometers from Luxor and 320 kilometers from Hurghada and 320 kilometers from the oases El Kharga and Dakhla. So it is it's what they call it the golden ratio. And I'm sure that the Egyptians did not choose that haphazardly. I'm sure that it meant something for them. And to add to it is that tourism in general, they don't pay any attention to Middle Egypt. Middle Egypt is overlooked and marginalized. All the tourism in Egypt is either Cairo or Luxor and Aswan. It's only the odd tourist or even the odd travel agency that will bring them to see Amarna one night or whatever. But they have no idea about the treasures of Minya and also its significance to the whole of Egypt. Because as I said, conceptual tourism is non-existent because there is no link between all the sites in Egypt with the mind that created all these monuments. So it is very important to actually look at why the Egyptians created such amazing things, such wonders, and to try to delve into this. Added to this as well, this area, unfortunately, in recent years, especially in the past 30 or 40 years, has been the seat of extremism and
yes.
and fictional strife, because there is a huge Christian community there, Coptic community, and there is always a friction between the two communities. And unfortunately, even the Christians are also becoming extremist. So we are in a situation that it is led by extremist thought and fundamentalist thought on either side. And people are getting away from humanistic values and humanistic ideas. So to revive the ancient Hermopolis and its spirit that is actually about the universality of all the values that we believe in, and also that that humanity is one family that transcends boundaries of religion, creed, race, gender, nationality. So for me, that was important. It's also intrinsic to the Hermetic ideas is the belief in the potential of humanity, that humanity has a hope. And the hope is not only in the future, that we hope for a better tomorrow. The hope lies within the individual, and the individual has a continuous potential. And this potential is to remake himself or herself all the time. So rebirth and renewal and making good of yourself is fundamental to the Hermetic philosophy.
Mervat, yesterday I was in Vatican City, and the director of the office, Diplomatic International Office of Vatican City, say me that Egypt could be the cradle of a new global humanism. They are very interested in Egypt. In fact, they told me to create a collaboration with my association and the Vatican for Egypt, because it's a very beautiful country and has a big potential for culture all over the world.
Yes, I entirely agree. I mean, apart from the Hermetic thinking, Egypt has been also, the UNESCO has agreed to the Holy Family path in Egypt. And in fact, they came to Hermopolis, and New Hermopolis is in between the monastery of the Virgin Mary in Jebel al-Tir in Samalot in Minya, and also there in Maharra and Dronka in Asyut. So we are midway, besides the fact that it says that the Holy Family actually rested in Ashmonin, which is ancient Hermopolis. So they stayed there for a bit of the night, for a night or so. It is important that Ashmonin as well was part of one of the places that the Holy Family visited. But more important, I think, than religious ideas, it is the fact that it is the seat, as I said, of humanistic values, and it is
Values,
not.
Exactly. For the Vatican, is important the humanistic value.
Yeah.
Value.
Yes, and I mean, what you are saying is really wonderful news to me, that the Vatican is interested in that, because I can see that this place can be a beacon of light to whole humanity, not only because Egypt is important in that respect, and the place is there, is within its boundaries. It is also because it transcends the boundaries of this place, because we all know, for instance, without Ficino, the whole world would not have known anything about the Hermetica. So his translation of the Hermetica into Latin introduced the world to the Hermetic philosophy and the Hermetic values. Also, the same applies for the Arab Muslim scholars who had a special affinity and special interest in that part of Egypt, as well as Akhmim and alchemy, because alchemy is about bettering yourself and making something valuable of your own crude, cheap, unrefined self, which is behind Sufism. By elevating your soul through knowledge and development, you are closer to your heavenly part. You are closer to the sublime part of yourself. So it is really the seat, and it's also important for the Kabbalah, because the Kabbalah also developed from that part of Egypt. So we have the three religions, in a way, combined in humanism, in their humanistic versions, in their spiritual versions, be it Sufism, be it Gnosticism, or be it Kabbalah, and or be it whatever you want to call it, because it is all about three things. Being and becoming is one aspect. You cannot be without continually becoming. It's also, humanity is one family that transcends race and creed, and also that God is one and all, that has several manifestations, but in the end it is one.
Thank you very much. I hope we could do interesting future projects. Can you describe the impact of the project on the local community?
Yeah, well, New Hermopolis, as I said, it is a kind of revival of the spirit of ancient Hermopolis. And the spirit of ancient Hermopolis is about integration. So the grassroots population and the community are essential from the beginning. It is actually important to include them. And without them, actually, the project will die. So it is an integrated model. It has a farm, and it has an eco-lodge, and it has a culture and art and culture center. So the farm we have outreach programs with the local community, teaching them about organic agriculture, and also about desert agriculture and ecotourism and eco farming, and also trying to introduce them to new ways of marketing their own food products. And our cuisine and or the meals we serve in New Hermopolis are also heritage food, rural Egypt, especially Upper Egyptian food and Upper Egyptian bread types, which is in itself is an important aspect of our heritage. And it is cooked and sometimes served by the local women. All the workforce in New Hermopolis are actually drawn from the local villages, and they show their talent and develop their talent within our cultural space. We foster their talent and we allow them to perform and present their ways of thinking, and try to introduce things like interactive theater, storytelling, stick dancing, hymn singing. We have big Coptic community, as I said, so we try to do that, and we celebrate all the festivities. So yes, they are part and parcel of this project. So the outreach programs is all about trying to make New Hermopolis a kind of hub. And then through it, there is quite a lot of projects branching out from that hub and then pouring out their activities again into Hermopolis.
Thank you. New Hermopolis was awarded worldwide Best Creative Residency by Creative Tourism Network in 2017. Which are the aims of creative tourism in general?
Creative tourism is generally it is a branch of cultural tourism. It is a further development on cultural tourism. Because again, cultural tourism, as I said earlier, it deals mainly with antiquities, archaeological sites, but with disconnection or with lack of connection with the population that live in these archaeological sites. But the creative tourism is believing in the creativity of every individual and the creativity of the land itself, of the site itself, that the site can be inspirational to a lot of creative activities. And as I mentioned, the Hermetic principle is about creativity, is about renewal, revival, rebirth, and making or creating a better version of yourself. So creative tourism is about engagement and the integration with the local community into a creative process. The aim of New Hermopolis is to evolve into a creative community of the local population as well as the visitors. So they are not like two distinct entities that they look at each other, that they are engaged in doing something constructive, beautiful, and useful. And this is the idea of creative tourism.
So we can say that conservation, inclusion, and sustainability of intangible heritage are the three main virtues of creative tourism in general. And how has changed the Egyptian government's attention to the cultural archaeological heritage in recent years for you?
Well, unfortunately, things have not changed that much, simply because anyway, the last decade in particular, we had great difficulties in Egypt as well as worldwide. So nothing has been changed. It's still the tourism industry Egypt is controlled by mass tourism and by big hotels and also disengaged or distant type of tourism that people just come and stay in their hotels, go to individual archaeological sites and take few pictures, or they are on a cruise liner that it is luxurious, but they are not really into real Egypt at all, and they don't know real Egypt, and for them can be real Egypt. It's just the dirty streets or the poor kids everywhere, but the real Egypt, they don't see. Even the food, they have no idea about the Egyptian food. They only eat things that they can eat anywhere in the world. So And this is more pronounced in Middle Egypt. As I said, there are still no travel companies that would take on board something like conceptual or spiritual tourism or philosophical tourism or literary tourism, because this is one of the things that I would like to develop, which is actually to develop a route of ideas, like the Silk Route. So, and to see how ideas traveled from Egypt to the rest of the world. So you have like multiple centers in the world that have been integral to the development of the Hermetic philosophy, as well as influenced by it. So you have Italy, and you have Persia, and you have Turkey, and you have Iraq if it becomes accessible, and you have also, of course, Germany and England. I mean, the whole world have been influenced by this philosophy, and there are big major names in the field that can actually be like important themes within this literary route, or this route of ideas, to look at how ideas traveled from Egypt, the ideas that matter now, the humanistic ideas that mattered, and how it was developed by all the thinkers that we still regard as important and relevant to our enlightened thinking now.
Thank you. And which are your future projects, Mervat?
Well, as I said, it's first of all is to highlight the importance of Hermopolis in general as a landmark in Egyptian history and the history of the world, and also emphasize the importance of integrated cultural tourism, sustainable tourism, participatory tourism, creative tourism in Egypt, and also introduce Egypt and the world to the idea of a creative community, but it's not like an just intentional community for a small group of people, but it is also a community that believes in humanism in general. And so it is a model or a place that can people can feel that they belong to. So it is a space for multiple belonging, and it can be a platform for studies and study tourism, and people who want to specialize in that field and want to create a new dialogue, especially in the world that we live in, that it is troubled by a lot of problems. I mean, we live either in religious extremism or in materialism and scientific reductionism.
Thank you, Mervat. We anticipate your visit to Italy at the end of August.
I'm really looking forward to that. And thank you very much for hosting me. And thank you very much for translating my book. And I look forward to seeing it and holding the Italian version of my book.
Thank you. It's a big honor for me to have a guest as you. And we will see in Italy, in Tuscany, at the end of August.
Well, the honor is mine and the pleasure is mine. I'm really grateful to you and grateful to Leonardo. And I'm really looking forward to meeting you all by the end of August.
Thank you.
And looking forward to Tuscany as well.
Yes. we all in Tuscany.
Thank you very much, Kier.
Thank you, Mervat.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.